You can tell me anything. She doesn't really mean that.
Don't believe a woman when she say you can tell her
She's
anything
lying.
because she's lying.
She's lying.
She's lying to you.
Um,
And honestly, she may say that, but she's not going to be able to actually handle that mentally or emotionally because again, she's looking at you to be the leader. So if you are overly emotional, she's going to think that you're falling back on leading because you're she's going to think that your emotions are getting the best of you. So I say take it somewhere else.
So if a man is being emotional and she lays that hand on that back, is that a sign that the man needs to just stop at that point? Like he's gone too far once she put the hand on the back.
I don't know. That could be a soothing tactic.
Go ahead, Paris.
I wouldn't even be with a man that perpetuates that type of behavior. Like it wouldn't happen. I would already know. So and that's because I don't do that. Like I'm not gonna tolerate something that I don't also do. Like that's not a form of emotional control to me for a person to just be randomly every inconvenience you crying about it. Like that's not something that I have the mental capacity in order to mitigate. I'm not doing it. So I mean, I don't agree for me specifically that my man can't tell me anything, but I don't push. What you choose to disclose is that's that because I'm all for whatever happened in between us is between us. That's our privacy. That's our secrets. And if he chooses to share something very vulnerable with me, very volatile, then I know that I have a greater responsibility. But I'm not all women, so I don't speak for all women when I say that. He can tell me anything, but I know that I don't operate like most women. But overall, I don't want a man. I would never be or entertain a man who is always feeling the need to cry and feel. I don't
Come
cry and
on.
feel all the time. That's crazy as hell to me. Now you can communicate your feelings, but the extra emotional instability that would drive me insane. So we would never even be in a relationship. He would never be my man.
I feel what she's saying on that. I wanted to add earlier. I think maybe express your emotions is not even an accurate enough term. It's cool to express your emotions, but really what you want to do is articulate your emotions because expressing them could be anything. I could punch somebody in the face. That's an expression of my emotions. I could have an outburst. That's an expression. I think articulating it and communicating it is much more important of a concept for men to embrace.
Okay. Go ahead, Cherish. You want to say something?
Yes. So I wanted to start by saying if anyone like misinterpreted my initial comment that femininity and masculinity aren't tied to man and woman. So when I said I feel like expressing emotions is a feminine trait, I wasn't saying that man is being girly or acting like a woman. It's more so he is tapping into that part of himself. So I wanted to clear up that. And as far as the second question within what like relationships and like putting up with that and stuff, I may be a little biased because I am a spiritual life coach. So I am very welcoming and very like organically wanting to like dive into stuff, like deep rooted stuff. So I may be a little desensitized to like all of that. But at the same time, I will say self regulation is very important. You have to know how to choose your battles as an adult. You have to know how to self soothe um, and kind of just like work through things on your own. I feel like that's very important because energy doesn't just like disappear. Emotions don't just go away. So it's not about really bottling anything in. It's like if you're not going to blow up about it, like maybe learn how to like process things within yourself. That's like very important in relationships, I feel like. Yeah.
All right, let Mr. Let Go in there. Go ahead, Let Go. What are your thoughts about it, man? You need some Kleenex?
All right. So in the context of what was said, first, shout out to tonight's conversation. Shout out to my guy Trip. Trip is always dropping gems. Shout out to my guy. So emotions in particular are just simply chemical responses. Huh?
I said the word.
Emotions are simply chemical responses to adverse things that happen in our environment. So we all have emotions, and it's sad how it's like when men are emotional or have emotions is always, we can't do this, we can't do that. And I think it's sad because we're human just like everybody else. So all of us have issues expressing those emotions, and that's where the problem actually is. So we all have emotions, but just like what Cloud Jones says, is the way we either articulate or express our emotions that's the problem. And the reason why that problem is there is because most of us were raised by women. So ladies, y'all grow up under a woman that you see and you kind of like learn from her because she's your mom, right? But when it comes to men growing up under women and there's no father, there's no man around, that's why I'm against single motherhood. We are confused on how we express the emotions. So when there's a mother and not a father, there's no regulation of the emotion. There's just suppression of the emotion. So it's like, hey, be a big boy. Hey, you the man in the house. Hey, don't cry. Hey, and then there's no explanation of why do this or not do that. There's just don't do this, don't do that. See, a father would literally say, it's okay to cry, son. Like, for example, my father, whether right or wrong, when I was a real young boy, I think I was like 5, because I remember him saying it. He said, cry off of emotions, but don't cry from pain. Deal with the pain. But if there's an emotion, it's okay to cry. And he gave me an understanding of when to cry, when not to cry. So if I am on the playground and I skin my knee and I fall off the bike and I hit my head, I don't cry, because overall, and this might, whether y'all agree with this or not, crying and screaming are literally meant to incite help. If I fall and skin my knee, I don't need help. So there's no reason for me to cry. So when you see a woman cry, if you want to, walking through the mall or whatever, and a woman is crying, that is her way of inciting help. Hey, I need help. I just don't know how to articulate it. So when a man cries and he's sad, he has to get it out. But when a man cries and he's hurt, there's no reason for him to cry. So we as men have to understand, or begin to understand, because a lot of us still don't know how, when to cry, when not to cry. Crying is about letting out your emotions. But if it's due pain, there's no reason to cry. That's what I was taught by my father. And I think if more young men had fathers in a home, it will be a better understanding of how to deal with all of these emotions, when to cry, when not to cry. But walk it off. Somebody in the chat said, walk it off. We got to walk that shit off. But crying after a breakup, crying after heartache, crying after somebody dies, you got to let that shit out.